Love to hear it. Send, 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 sent. Nope. Still says sending. I wish those would turn green. They turn green. That's cool. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So hello and welcome to the next little bit we'll be doing in Apocalypse World. I felt like I wanted to talk a little bit about Apocalypse World first. Because it's a different system than we've been playing in, and that is kind of the idea of us playing with all these different games. But yeah, let's chat a little bit about it. There's a gameplay tab that I'm just going to be basically like coursing through down to the stats. I'm going to ignore the gear bit of that for now because that would be wild to go through. Yeah, this one, as I like read and like understood it, it's just a bunch of badasses doing badass things in a, apocalyptic kind of setting.
Badass. I'm gonna have to
In
rethink my character.
in general. It's you don't necessarily need to be the baddest ass on the field, but no matter what, in the end you are a main character, and they do kind of like specify that. Like an NPC can get shot and die. You get shot and we make rolls and we talk about like what happened, and there is like a health bar, moderate health bar system that kind of gauges that for you. But like an NPC doesn't have that. Um so you're like set apart from just the general people that you come across. Stronger, more capable of taking hits and doing cool things because you have the capability of making that happen. Um, yeah. Most of that paragraph is not important to us at this point because we've been like actually playing RPGs together for a little bit now, but it's the narrative driven, less I attack and more I swing my bat at him, right? Like we want to describe what we're doing so that we can use a roll to back it up rather than saying a roll and then having to back it up narratively, if that makes sense. That comes and goes as we play because sometimes we know the role we want to make and have to figure out how to get to it, and that it does work. But yes, it's a 2d6 system, so we're always basically going to be rolling 2d6. I don't know, there's very few times we'll be needing to roll more than that, I think. Damage is a set number. For the most part, I might have you roll like I guess probably a d6 sometimes to see if something is very important. But in the moves tab, there's a harm another like a harm subcategory that'll show you. There's like some info in there about like what different levels of harm mean. So we don't really need to roll for that because there's harm evaluated there. And this is for you guys, not for NPCs, because again, you guys are set apart from NPCs. An explosion generally will kill an NPC, whereas to you it means I think 4 harm or some shit, which is a lot, but livable if you have most of your health bar. Yeah, 6 or below. We played pretty similar system with both Dungeon World in the past, and then most recently for most of the people at the table, the Children of the Stars campaign. Same thing with the 2d6 system, right? You rolled 2d6. 6 or below is a failure or a miss. It's generally bad. It's not what you want. Sometimes there's an extra thing too that goes wrong. With that, a 7 to 9 is your moderate success. Usually, I don't know, maybe you take a hit in getting what you need done, or you get what you need done, but you knock over a box onto an ally. That's just the most basic example, but like it means that something can go wrong in you succeeding. I would like to state that it doesn't mean I think that something always will go wrong. I think on a 7 to 9, you can also sometimes just succeed. Like, I'm not going to tear apart a building just because, you got a 9 when we needed a 10 for no box to fall on your ally. Sometimes it just, like a 9 can just work. 10 or higher, fantastic success. You do it. you do it amazingly. And sometimes there's like an extra bonus, like you get an extra question or a different list of questions, or with level ups as you guys go, sometimes you can engage with things differently with 12 pluses when you roll them. And that is nice and helpful on like super duper successes. The stats are, before we move on, are there any questions about like Apocalypse World in general at the moment?
Not at the moment.
Wait, I just want to make sure I give space as well. Stats, easy peasy. They're a vibe, not necessarily what you're doing, but how it's being done. And the stat or like the moves definitely say roll for this. But if we can talk about it as a table and say, well, I think that I would be, using this stat, and that's powerful enough to overcome the like need to use hot over hard, then maybe we can talk about it. But most of the time, these are hard and fast to what moves they go for, and your character abilities can switch some of that around. But they are cool, meaning you're cool under fire, rational, clear thinking, calm, calculating, unfazed. You are being cool, right? You are being hard. You are being hot, sharp, or weird. Weird is the hard one because it's all over the place. It's your psychic, it's your connection to the ghosts, it's your fucking anything that the other four don't cover. We can probably cover it in weird. Um yes. Most of those are straightforward. In fact, I kind of think they all are, especially when you scope out your basic moves in the moves tab, as to that's your like bread and butter. I've gone through and detailed some of the more tactical and support based moves too that the game details that were like a little bit more intricate. Car battling and things like that. Good to read over so you know that the game has a mechanic for it, right? If you get to that point and you want to do a car battle, you know the game has something there for you, and you can look at that as a jumping off point. There'll be stuff for the stats, like what stats you're rolling. Usually it's based on the car you have. HX is history. It's usually, I mean, it's your connection with another character. You guys will each have different history questions on your starting character sheets that we will answer as we go. And then we'll circle back and like sit like in more of a circle and just like answer the second one. I think each of them has like a do a first and then do a second pass, and the first pass is what we're focused on with this first question that I'll eventually get to when we do some reading, and then the second pass will be after we get through everything. We'll sit down and like chat out the rest of our history together and go over things, or we can do them both if it makes sense too. It doesn't really matter in terms of the flow for me at that point. We can do them both. We can do one. I think sometimes it's good to go around the circle and see where you lie though. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good gist of Apocalypse World and the system. I mean, I would highly recommend just scanning through the basic moves. That's important on your character sheet. The bonuses is you can like, say you're down in cool. It tells you the basic moves that are under there. If you hover, it'll give you the page link and you can read it over as you're doing it, which is nice and helpful. That's just the basics, nothing of the like tactical and support bonuses, but. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't know that there's much else that I need to cover about the game system before we dive on in. Is there anything that anyone would like covered? Any questions? Anything like that before we jump off?
I don't think so. I'm just trying to familiarize myself with what I'm looking at
Yeah, for sure.
on the.
It is a very different
Yeah, scope
thing.
that out for a second. I actually want to turn on another light because it's super fucking dark in my apartment, and it doesn't feel that dark, but it looks
It
that dark.
is in some ways a crunchier version of Monster of the Week, it seems like.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so Grace, you
Yeah, more like
remember
D&D
playing Vernon
coded.
Bradley. It's D&D
Mhm.
coded Monster of the Week. It's like a halfway point.
So what is this? So everyone asks questions in the beginning?
Not quite yet.
Yes.
And we're writing.
I'm not writing nothing. You cannot make me.
What'd you say, Grace?
That's an interesting character trait to go with
You
from the
can't make me
get-go.
write. Write it on his character sheet, guys. He won't do it.
That was funny. That was a good one.
What was your question, Grace, about questions?
What is the stuff mean underneath like the I don't know if everyone else's sheet looks exactly like mine. I'm looking at mine, but has like the purple look, yellow history, and then there's like a blurb in the middle.
Oh yeah, that
Mhm.
blurb. So that's gonna be I'm gonna get to a point in my fun
Yeah, that's our opening session stuff. We'll get
yeah,
there.
yeah. That is gonna be
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
get to a point in this like fun narrative where I will say like, hey, blank. This is the time where we're gonna introduce your character because I want to introduce the characters along with the town. It says, oh, interesting. You just have a single. On your turn,
Yeah.
ask this. I actually think that that's okay in the timing, actually, of what I've written, and we'll have other questions to answer for you that gets there, but that still covers your history in as much as everyone else's is covered. Just most of them have like a 2 spot, like a 2 around, but that kind of makes sense for your character. Not, you know.
And
I don't
where are
want to
we
spoil it
writing
yet, but
that
I think that
down?
makes sense. Huh? Where are you writing that down?
And where?
Right above that
Yeah.
in that yellow chunk is where I've made space for you. Right next to Ham in that line, you can write down, not Ham. Oh yeah, D Ham is his name. Next to D Ham in that line, you can write down what your stuff is with D Ham, and next to Dill in the line and Spigot in the line.
Unless I can't edit that box.
I can't.
You can't edit the yellow boxes?
No.
Oh, they
not.
can.
Oops. Let's see. That is a Gabe problem.
Okay. I was like, I
Of
don't
course,
know how to.
Of course,
I
Gabe
don't know how to
can.
do that.
Gabe owns it.
Yeah.
This is Gabe's universe.
Yeah,
Permissions overview.
realistically, like you can write. I would start each of those sections. So like next to Dill, I would start with the number like +1 or plus
Okie doke. I think
-1 or whatever
you
like
guys
that.
Beautiful.
should be able to edit the Apocalypse World stuff now.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Whatever
This
that
will be
number.
fun to watch everyone goof around in here.
Yeah.
Don't watch me write.
Don't watch me write. You can't make
Get
me do it, and you
nervous.
can't watch me do it either.
If you don't see me do it, I haven't done it.
When I worked in the writing center at Truman, students would forget that they shared their papers with me. So sometimes if I was like, there was like a particularly bad one that I did my best, like I had like a particularly bad outline, and I was like, all right, come back in when you have your first draft, and then they didn't come back in, but it was still shared with me. I'd pop in later to see how it went,
Oh
see
my
if there were
gosh, you're
comments.
using the
Man.
power.
Fuck yeah,
Cut
this
dude.
out.
That's
Really-
good
Really
entertainment.
quick.
Yeah.
Really quick, Grace, a useful thing.
Huh.
If you scroll down to the table that says stat, score, and moves,
Yeah,
you see it?
yeah.
Hover your cursor over any of the moves there.
Oh, cool. A thing pops up.
Oh,
It-
sweet.
As long
Mhm.
as they are formatted exactly the same as the page,
Yeah,
which
and
is
use the
beautiful,
capitals.
it will link to it. You'll notice with some
That's neat.
there's one like combat or armor. There's one specifically that will link to something that's not going to make sense to our gameplay because it's going to link to a D&D thing. I don't remember which one it is, but it isn't any of our like.
It's neat that it
main
uses
pieces.
mostly different words.
Yes. Yeah. To scope that out. Again, when you write next to these characters as to like if you want to include info about that, do so, but make sure that you put the number because that's technically this HX yellow box is a stat. It'll be your history with Dill is what you're rolling for in specific cases. Just so you're aware. Or anyone
But if you
else
want to
who's-
write a more detailed answer, you can definitely delete some of these instructions and replace them with.
Yes, once we do our
Stuff.
history stuff, this is just stuff you can erase the that whole extra box. Cool. Sick.
Face breaker.
What?
Sick.
Hey.
Don't
Hey
build
now.
load yet.
Did we say we weren't allowed to look around? My apologies.
Mind
You
your
can
business.
scope, but we're just about to intro it, and you know what I mean. Like you're peeking the curtain right before it opens.
You're part of the
Opening
kimono,
number
as they
is
like
like
to
they're
say in
stretching.
Riverdale.
I'm not
You're
reading
like-
any
you're
of the. I'm not
"Why are
reading
you
any of the abilities.
stretching?" You guys stretch? I thought you were the wizard from the Wizard of Oz. I didn't know he stretches with everyone else. Well, the curtain's closed, Gabe. They didn't expect you to look back here. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna dive on in and let's see. Everyone ready to rock and roll? Out to school. Here we are. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dungeons, Drive-Ins, and Dice. This season, an apocalypse world podcast. Honestly, this whole intro chunk may even just be cut, and I might come in at the top of this narrative, because that feels like a good lead in. And if that is the case, then I'm the one. I guess that is ready. Give me one more second. If I'm about to get in, I'm about to get in.
This harm page is wild.
Okay.
Pardon?
Yeah, there's lots of. Oh, that would have cut immediately when I did that. That's so funny. Look like I'm holding my breath. Cool. No intro. Right on into it. In the perpetually sun-blasted savannas of the apocalypse, scarcity is commonplace. Scarcity of nourishment, scarcity of security, scarcity of entertainment, enrichment, and community. But even in the desolate and irradiated wastes, the folk of this land have found a way to survive. For it is only by putting our full faith in our fellow person and pulling our share of the weight that a true commonplace can be built. That a true commonwealth can be built. A group living together, working together towards a common goal, not just surviving the unending day, but living and thriving. Nothing else is more at the forefront of the minds of those who live in the scrap-built and piecemeal walls of Tedville. While not easy, the reliance on their fellow community members has made life tolerable for those that would pitch in to the greater good and survival of its peoples. Passing over and viewing from a bird's eye, Tedville seems an incredibly active place. Folks moving to and fro throughout the town, transporting, repairing, delivering, whatever is needed to make things run. On its outskirts, we pass over a junkyard. We see a posse of vehicles arrive to the exterior gate, pass inspection of a few guards on duty, and move inward to be unloaded. The junkyard is the beginning and the end of all things that come into the town. Leading the charge of unloading and sorting, we see Dill. Now, Dill, let's talk about you. Let's introduce us to Dill. Tell us how he goes about. Well, first, introduce us. Introduce us to Dill.
I better go back to the Dill page.
Tell us a little bit about who we see leading the charge of making sure things go into the right place.
Okay. Dill. Dill is. He is tall, and he is smooth, and he is buttery yellow colored.
Hmm.
Um, he's he sort of looms over things. He's like pro basketball player tall.
Like Alien Romulus doll.
Yes. I'm gonna go with yes. My memory of him is a little vague, but yes. Anyways, when Dill comes up to these trucks, he makes a quick inspection of their contents, and he sorts them in his mind into two categories: for Dill and not for Dill. The not for Dill he unloads first, tossing them into piles with slightly less than an adequate amount of care. The for Dill items he very carefully loads into a crate and takes that crate and back to his nest.
Yeah, I mean, Dill lives in and runs as sort of his domain, the junkyard. Talk to me a little bit about Dill's nest in here in the junkyard. I'm interested about his nest.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like a crevice underneath a couple of things that are, toppled together. I'm sort of imagining stacks of junked cars, but that can't be right.
I have I have like a Fiddleford McGucket
Yeah,
like
that's sort
shack
of
in the
the
junkyard.
It's sort of the vibe. It's not quite as together as McGucket's shack. I'd say it's more tarps spread between stacks of things to keep out the rain, if there's rain, or maybe the dust to keep out.
I have done my best to just not consider weather. On a I didn't necessarily say it in the narrative, but I did say the unending day. I just tried to be kind of ethereal about it. The planet don't spin or move, and so it's always this time of day. Always, you need to pull the shades if you want darkness. You like it's always this time of day. I don't know. Does the rotation of the planet, is that what that's what creates wind, right?
No.
No.
Pressure differentials.
No.
Pressure differentials. Would that occur if do those pressures still shift and move if the planet does not shift and move?
Yes, and they would be buck wild because the temperature differences from the day and the night size of the planet would.
So the
Be
windstorms
so
would be
different.
ravaging. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, when
mhm.
those guys rush through. Okay, that's fun to note and keep on the back burner in the mind. Fun.
Not a lot of warning on those, and probably all of the hatches need to be battened down. Dill
Okay.
has to go and get his junkyard is strewn for miles. He probably doesn't get back most of his stuff if a
I
big
mean, he's
storm
probably got
comes
a
through.
safety hole under the biggest pile. He moves this car aside or something. Moves a sheet metal aside, and there's just a Dill-sized hole in there.
He dug it out with his big mitts.
Yeah.
Dill does basically everything by hand as much as he can, because he's got a big bad body. His smooth yellow collection of ovals. Let's see what it says on his character sheet. What do we get here? You can contort your body into bizarre, appalling, and unnatural configurations. Is what that says there, and Dill does so with a frequency that most people would prefer he didn't. He likes to stretch and grasp all over his various junk.
He likes touching
Back
things
at
on
me.
the way by.
Yeah, he's always sort of a tactile guy out with his filaments.
He's the kind of guy that notes like, "Oh, you guys should feel this. The texture is awesome." Except maybe too often.
And also the things that Dill finds texturally pleasant are like sticky.
Talk to me about, I think that this is also a good time to talk about like what is Dill's class? What is Dill?
Dill is a contaminated, which means basically it means he got some kind of alien foreign substance in him at some point in his past, and it has changed him, and now he is different. He is Dill. And that comes with a bunch of fun, neat stuff that he can do. I don't know if I just like chat my way through my character sheet.
No,
or...
I think we can hit the fun, unnerving abilities of most of our team, or sometimes like conversationally helpful abilities of our team as they come up. I just I don't know. Maybe I don't know if classes. I like talking about them in that kind of sense. Like if there's anything important, we can bring them up. But I also think that we could also hit it from the like angle of. And in fact, I think I have most people's angle this way, so I might follow up that with saying, you return to your hut. You're bringing this stash of 4 dill goods back to the hut. What does Dill get up to with this stash of 4 dill goods?
It's a lot of batteries that are for Dill. And let's see.
Like, give us a scene to zoom back out onto the town on. Or I guess we should hit a history question too for you. Before we get a scene to zoom back out on the history.
The history questions doing it this way is interesting because we haven't met any of the other characters,
okay,
so I don't know.
Let's do our loop. Let's do our loop just like this, and then we'll do a roundabout at the end with like history questions.
Okay, then I'll give us a scene to go to the next person on then. Dill takes his collection of batteries, and he's crouched down, all small and compressed, as small of a dill ball as he can be.
Dill ball is great. It's good stuff.
Dill is gonna be like my Batman. I'm gonna tag him onto as many things as I can. Anyways, you can see the camera behind Dill sees his back like ripple and change as the musculature like moves from his back to his hands, and his hands like web and stretch wide around the whole collection of batteries. And like it's just this big ball of dill muscle around these batteries, and he raises his hands over his head, and the camera sees him crush the batteries in his hands with an open mouth, just lapping at anything that he can squeeze from them. And we fade out to someone else.
Yeah, I'm shattered that you do that barehanded. I was kind of expecting
Dill does everything
at some
barehanded.
point you did lead up with that, actually. Even crazier, but like I kind of expected a little like workstation you could do that in, but fuck me, you just squeeze them. That's incredible.
Dill's a gremlin.
Woof.
Um,
Oh, yeah, the bird eye quickly heads back up and over the town, no longer wanting to watch this scene. Bird eye view back over the town in the junkyard. But past it, and we enter into the main thoroughfare of town. People moving in and out, moving what needs to be moved, and helping when they can. Though work is important, and one must also find space to relax and recuperate. As the weary and hungry wasteland explorers return their cars to the garage to be repaired and fine-tuned, some to be repaired and fine-tuned, some gather together to join the crowded tables of DeLuca's bordel. Some for food, some for release. We see D-Ham moving with a practiced precision throughout the crowd, doing what they do best. Let's get a little intro on D-Ham here.
So D-Ham is a skinny but tall, pretty matte metal robot. He has no clothes. He does have eyes, and those are made of flashlights, and his nose is a camera, which he uses to see. He moves about the crowd with a grace that is unusual given his form. He is a master at his craft.
I literally have crossed out here. Let me see if I can read under this cross. Providing service to the masses with extreme something about you like doing it like a dance, and that's literally what I imagine. Like you just like dancing throughout this crowd, providing incredible, picking up glasses, putting them down.
I have a whole middle section that is a dishwasher.
Oh,
hmm?
I hold all kinds of things in there, namely dishes.
he polishes as he takes them out of his chest and puts them in front of a guest, filling out. Do you have?
Can
Do
you-
you have?
Can you
Do you-
wash the dishes?
No, but I can hold them there. It's
Oh.
like a dishwasher, except it doesn't clean them.
Is a dish holder?
You're a cabinet.
Yeah, it's a cat. It's a cabinet. That's not a dishwasher.
My chest.
That's a bus bin, brother.
My
That's
chest
not
is the
same
is the
thing.
bus boy.
You wouldn't.
My
You are
chest is the bus
covered.
boy. My chest is the bus boy.
You wouldn't
Oh.
call the bus bin a fucking dishwasher.
My
That's-
chest is
I am
called the
not
bus
staring
boy.
at you. I am taking your picture.
That's
I can do
awesome.
both. I can do both.
Yeah, what is you're the only you're the only server needed here on most given days. I would imagine there's a replacement for the days that you might have other stuff. But as the only server here sort of at DeLuca's Bordel, like what is
I'm sort of the main server. I'm the server you want. There are days whenever Chantry takes over, and Chantry is not as fast, Chantry is not as personable. Chantry doesn't present as many options as D-Ham does.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what kind of service you're going to get when D-Ham is on the clock. And he is often on the clock.
I don't imagine that when D-Ham's on the clock, everyone else is sort of like a back server. Like they're just supporting D-Ham because otherwise they're in the way. He has a practice dance he is completing here, and you cannot step into it. What does D-Ham do in his off hours? He doesn't spend all his time here in DeLuca's Bordel, even though I imagine it might be most of it.
Yeah, a very good portion of his time. You know, he works, you know, like the lunch shift all the way through closing. And whenever he is not bussing tables with his chest cavity, he is. No, I can't think of a way to make this rhyme, but he is also a handyman. He goes around town and he knows a lot about various doodads and doohickeys. And so sometimes he can fix them. He also spends a decent amount of time at the junkyard finding leftovers, and sometimes things can be repurposed that you know, non-robot nose eyes might skip over.
I like that. I like that. You are the savvy head of the group, which plays into that engineer role. I like that it's like your sub
It's
classification.
absolutely my side hustle.
Like you've taken your class, which is normally like someone's like, end all, or like what they do, right? Not their end all be all, but like they focus around that, and you've taken your like hobby, which is like what builds a lot of story, and you've kind of swapped them. You have your like
Yeah, it's funding for my true purpose, which will be revealed in time. But my true purpose can be found, or at least will one day be found, at the restaurant.
at DeLuca's.
At the Lucas Chop House
Yeah.
/ bordel.
/bordel. A bordel is a good catch-all for anything you could need in the wasteland in a tavern style setting. It has food and beverages and sex if you so need it. I would also imagine drugs and gambling. Like we can use the bordel as a sort of catch-all for the
This is
sort of
our vice house.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of vibe. That may not whatever
Still's not
D-ham.
allowed.
Is D-ham what we want to call you? What should the like
My name is
colloquial for-
DeLuca's Chop House answering machine.
Yeah.
You can call me whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Wait, why did we settle on D-ham if it's DeLuca's Chop House? Wouldn't it be D-cam?
The C is silent.
Yeah.
See is silent.
DeLuca's
I'm just gonna go with ham.
ham. Which I also thought was very funny. 'cause there
Ham,
was
of
a
course,
different-
which is course number 39.
How many courses are there?
99 courses.
Has anyone
How long
ever
does
finished
a
them?
meal like that take? From the professional.
Well, how long would you like it to take? Press 1 for 5 minutes.
no
Press
shot in
2
hell you're
for
getting through 99
6
courses in 5 minutes.
days. Press 3 for, I don't know, we'll bring it all at once and you make the choices.
I imagine the 5-minute one is like one of those belt fed systems where you just have to try to eat as much of it as you can as it passes by, but it will take 5 minutes for all 99 courses to pass in front of you.
You've chosen number 4, Lemon Pfeiffer.
No, Lemon Pfeiffer. Okay, we're gonna depart from the bordel for a brief moment as D-ham, maybe that's just what I'll do, is dancing throughout the crowd, expertly placing drinks where they need gone, 0 mistakes made. Yeah, I honestly, I would be willing to bet there's even like a little bit of a gamble go, like gambling on, like one of the gambling games is on D-ham and his like, is he gonna mess up or not? I would imagine it's not an exact 100%, but it's like a 99.9. It's a success rate that is monstrous enough to be gambled on. Out of
Oops,
the
I
board
tripped.
The crowd goes wild. Money is exchanged. Which is kind of useless. Also, money is kind of useless. I think it's just for fun. It's more for fun
Sometimes
at that
I
point.
trip on purpose.
To feed the crowds, right?
Nobody's listening.
Yeah. No, they're too loud cheering. Out of the bordel, down the streets, and past the shanty-built residences, we come to the river, the lifeblood of the town. Though, actually, I wrote that a little bit ago. The shanty-built residences can't be too shantily built if we are talking about windstorms that may decimate the entire landscape. So they are, made of sturdy metal with shutters you guys can bring down, but they give you the vibe of a sort of shanty-built resident town, or not resident, western town, you know what I mean?
Maybe scrappy.
Yeah, like you could see a tumbleweed kind of bouncing through the thoroughfare on some days that aren't so busy as this one that we're using as the narrative. Anyway, past the not so shantily built residences, we come to the river, the lifeblood of the town. Though without the aid of the high-tech filtration system provided and run by the source, its water is irradiated and undrinkable. The mechanical edifice chugs away, churning the water upward to be filtered and stored in collection tanks. Its tenant works tirelessly to maintain its working order. However, its main component, An intricate proprietary engine has begun to sputter and smoke, and his current job is simply to keep it running. A new one is on the way and should be here soon. Talk to me about Spigot. Introduce us to Spigot.
Spigot is tall and slender. He's not build tall, and I don't think he's ham tall, but he's just over 6 feet. He's slender. He has,
Three tall guys.
yeah, he has very
boy.
worn hands, clearly the hands of somebody who's worked his whole life. And so he's at a very quick pace moving back and forth, tweaking and adjusting knobs and valves and turning things and checking pressure. And so he wears the blue robes of his chosen profession. He wears a hood over his face, and he generally has a mask over his face. So
What
you
kind of
can
mask we
see that
talking?
it is sort of look brassy, and it's very intricately carved with the symbols of the water bearer.
Hmm.
What are the symbols of the water bear? Like,
They would be very
a
they're
main
very
couple.
yeah, they're very flowy. There's a lot that look like waves or rolling water, and there's some that look like drops. And then of course, there are some that look like the pipes and filtration of the obviously the filtration system they use to purify the water.
Ooh, I like to imagine around like the mouthpiece of the mask. It like is, tactile in that it looks like pipes that go sideways, and down. So you have
Yeah,
like that kind of dressing on the lower half that looks like the
love it.
pipes.
I dig that.
Is he always wearing this mask?
Almost always. It's very rare that he removes the mask. And if he does remove the mask, you'll notice that the right side of his face, he has a prosthetic lower jaw, which is
Mm.
also sort of brass colored and also etched with water bearer symbols. So oftentimes he wears the mask, one, because he's in working around equipment, and two, it's vanity that he wears the mask over the prosthetic.
Does the mask provide filtration, like air filtration?
Probably somewhat. Probably probably not as much as it should, but he feels it helps.
Probably not
So
like a
he
respirator, but like
no.
something to
More
catch
like
particulate matter.
more like an N95 type mask, which is going to filter out. Obviously it helps when the dust storms come, but not necessarily, you know, horrible chemicals that might seep out of
Sure.
things and places if you can't keep
Mhm.
this place running.
I like it. I like it.
Delicious.
This is one of the most important jobs in the town. I would say probably the most important for longevity of the town. I also just shortly considered what they would have done beforehand and don't have an answer. If this is like what your organization does, then no one else should be doing it because otherwise your organization is like, unless I think that the main city has their own way of doing things. There's like a larger sister city that's like, think more metropolitan to
Hmm.
your city. They probably have a way of doing it, but it's probably either expensive or not very like trustworthy or doesn't do the job like perfectly well or whatever it is. It isn't as good as this system that is able to filter the water. How does it filter the water? What is this? I think we've talked about it just a little bit, you and I, but I don't actually remember where we've rested. So talk to me a little bit about it filtering the water, mostly just because I'm curious.
Well, we don't really talk about that to most people because
Oh, sure.
we don't want anybody else to know that. But it's a
Sure,
it's
not even the
well,
players. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
For the audience,
it's
no one can
it's
know. It is
well,
proprietary
yeah,
after all.
it is like a giant high tech version of a still, basically. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of evaporation and condensation through multiple silos and there is some secret ingredient in the middle that maybe he's not even fully aware of what it is because he just gets it resupplied from the main city.
Sure.
And you have to put that part into it, which is the final piece of the filtration to make it drinkable water.
Sure. In
Lots of
either way, it
pipes,
filters
lots of
out the
wiring.
radiation and makes it
Yes.
drinkable for the town, which gives you sort of a position that, like, I would say one of probably comfort. Your class is built around being the water bearer. It is called
Hmm.
the water bearer. It is kind of about your control of the water. So talk to me about your, like, before there's an issue with your engine and you're like having to really chug and churn along to like keep this thing running. What is your day-to-day like in this town? Like what is your like quality of life like in Tedville?
He does live a pretty comfortable life because nobody wants to get on the wrong side of the person who controls the clean water. He's he's also in a position where he feels responsible to help maintain order and help maintain society, to keep the moral values, not religious values, but the moral values of the town in check, that nobody gets out of control. So he has some values that he brings to the town that he helps, impart to keep people on an even keel.
And
So he
those
lives a
are,
pretty
sorry to interrupt.
no, it's all good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say those values you bring to the town feel also very important to talk about up front. I would imagine that as the water bearer, you're not like the law bringer of the town, but
No.
the I'm gonna find the right way to phrase this. The like use of that water, or the like, to receive basically free water in exchange, as everyone does for their goods and services or whatever. That comes with following a few tenants. I would imagine that
Cor-
kind of goes for the town as a whole, whether they are a part of your group or not.
Correct. It's a matter of influence. It's a position of influence. It's not a position of being the law keeper of the town, but he's in a position to help make suggestions and help, you know, move people in the right direction, because otherwise there is a penalty, which means you may be really thirsty.
Let's talk about these rules because that seems important for everyone to know.
Absolutely. Let's talk rules. Let me scroll down to my rules. Uh,
Hold on.
there
I'll
are
pick up the
there
phone.
there are laws that everybody must obey when it comes to getting water. I didn't create these laws, but it's my responsibility to enforce these laws as the water bearer.
That's fun to say.
You,
The water bearer
yeah,
didn't create them, but Mike technically did.
yeah. Player did, character did not. So first, you have to keep your agreements. That's a key tenet. If you don't keep your agreements, you will pay restitution, and that restitution will be determined based on how badly you break the agreement.
And
Water theft is not permitted, period. The result is you are exiled. You leave the town, you don't come back.
no more water ever from this town.
That's right. And the last one is any slave who swears loyalty and life to the water bearers is granted freedom from their bonds. Now, they must abide by the rules of the water bearers, and a slave that turns to a water bearer that breaks the laws is returned to their original forced labor, no questions asked. And one who forces a slave turned water bearer to continue their forced labor is in turn turned into a slave. So
I
we
just
are
kept
very
asking, like, but
particular.
what if? But what if?
Yeah,
But what if? But what happens if? But when?
yeah.
Uh,
What happens if we don't drink water?
And you
Oh,
all become
man.
life-size prunes.
Most of you, oh no, only one of you might die. I'm
I'll
not sure
become
that
a
any of the
prune?
rest would be hyper affected by lack of water. That's very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
That's actually very funny. I did not
I
think about
don't.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did not think about the robot. Maybe you need water for lubrication or something.
Dill
Nope.
Or
doesn't need it.
Dill.
I would imagine that Dill might drink it while it's easily accessible, like if it's there or whatever, but he doesn't need it nor generally desire it. That's funny as fuck.
I need it
Maybe
more. I
polite.
need it to serve.
Mhm.
I needed to wash dishes.
Dishes. Oh, you do need water, don't you? Don't you, dishwashing
No,
busboy?
he's not a dishwasher. He's just a dish
You're
holder.
right. He's
Someone
a
has to
Cabinet.
wash them.
because he
He's
doesn't
just
have
a
water.
cupboard.
And with what?
Someone needs water. It's not me, but someone.
Maybe this whole time he's
Acid.
been a dishwasher, but he just doesn't know because he
We haven't
doesn't have
filled the
water in him.
tank.
We just dip our plates in acid. Daryl.
Cleans all the dirt right off. So that's the day-to-day when things are normal, but currently and for the past week, now you've received note on this that a new engine is on the way, but you're having to work like double time to keep this thing
Yeah.
working at all, but day by day it gets worse and worse. How is this feeling to you? I'm gonna hit a couple different time zones. How is this feeling to you after a week? You know there's one coming. But you're working hard. What is this
It's
resting like?
it's a little stressful because I don't have my opportunity to engage with the town folk because I'm spending more and more of my time just maintaining the machine. So stress level is building, but it's certainly not at a frantic level yet. But it certainly has broken my normal routine. So there's some discomfort and a little bit of stress, but it's certainly not panic point at the end of the first week.
Yeah. We're actually going to hit Oh yeah, and then the end of week 2, your machine has started to break down quite a bit more. And now the you have sort of limits to enforce on water per person, like it gets
Mhm.
brought down to, we'll say, a gallon per person per day or whatever. And that's for cleaning, that's for drinking, that's for everything.
Well, now his stress level is up, and now he's much more testy. One, because he's spending all this time maintaining the machines, and people are starting to get snappy with him when they come to get their restricted water rations. So he's not as, you know, perky and friendly, which is not really how I would describe him, but he's even less so at the end of week 2 when the machine is failing on him. And it feels like the town is really pissed at him because he's having to restrict water rations. So
Yeah.
he's starting to become very short-tempered.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when the job you provide is the one that the town needs. It's not
Yeah.
great when the town needs it and you can't provide it for the moment or as well,
Yeah.
That is declining. And at the end of the second week, that engine has still not come, though you've heard no word as to its whereabouts. It definitely should have been here, days after you heard it was coming, and now it's been another 7 days. A couple weeks later, we follow a robed figure with a slight build moving quickly through the streets, returning with their measly shares to the water filtration plant. She, though I don't want to assume, is now here, and things are foggy. She is new here, not now here. Why would she be now here? She is now technically here also, but she is new here, and things are foggy. She has been here only a week, and strange images have been playing on repeat in her head. Images of a child, face half covered, obscured, quickly outpacing her, leaving her in a cloud of dust. Images of an ancient labyrinth, arched hallways, and being chased by ethereal specters. And images of a smiling face, bringing her to health and tormenting her back to sickness, in an endless cycle. Everything else is a blur. Everything except one thing. This machine and this engine. It's familiar. In her waking moments, she attempts to help the kind water bearer, keeping his engine running. Introduce us to Petal.
Hello. Um, I guess the descriptors are ambiguous as in terms of um, overall shape, but I interpret that in because she always is wearing a like mechanic. I picture her as like a mechanic style jumpsuit. Um, it's long sleeved, but made of a brittle material that because it protects from the sun as well as protects from this like I'm assuming dust and
Sure.
sand and grit that is blown around. Um, and she's always wearing that, so it kind of gives her a baggy-ish form, and especially when she's got a hood or kind of like a hooded coat or a cloak or some sort up over to provide protection for her face. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
You're new here. You've been here a couple weeks at this point. Um, but let's say you've been here since that last week update with our water bearer, but you're here for 14 days, maybe awake 10 of them, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about you as an implant here. So 10 days ago, from the point we talk about now, as you move through the streets with your rations for you and the water bearer, sent out on a little break from keeping the engine working, 10 days ago, were found, oh boy, we'll say at like just out quite a ways in a totally different direction than expected, in the ruined shell of the delivery van alongside the delivery driver that was supposed to be delivering the engine. You were in the driver's seat or thrown from the vehicle, driver's seat empty, only to be assumed, and the delivery driver in the back, sort of haphazardly tossed. Both alive, though they have yet to wake up. You have, and through your foggy memories and, couple days, I imagine. Talk to me about your first few days, I guess, of waking up. How was that for you in this fog? How have you come to be working at the water bearer plant with the water bearer?
Yeah, I'd like to imagine that when the wreckage is discovered and our but me and the other individual are taken back inside, we're, just kind of placed, and the general abrasions are kind of tended to, whatever. I'm not sure what forms of medicine are available in such a small town, but as best as suitable and just kind of waiting to wake up. And I imagine that she wakes up and kind of in a haze, doesn't really remember much of anything except I remember my name Petal. Um, and not much else, not a whole lot. My name is what stuck up the most. There isn't even any other kind of their second names exist in this world. No one else seems to have one, but uh, she can't remember one. It's
That would be
just
wild, though. We
Petal.
got Dill, D Ham, Spigot, and Elena Johnson.
My last name is Answering Machine.
That's fair. Actually, yeah, we do have a multi-name that we've just sort of abbreviated.
But she can't picture one. If she tries to think too hard about mother, father, siblings, childhood home, it's just her head hurts too much. Um, especially right behind her eye, which is a prosthetic. She has a prosthetic eye. Um,
Mm.
and I'm just gonna read the description that I sent to M for the
Oh yeah.
art people. Ba, ba, ba. Um, Her eyes are hazel. One is a flesh eye, the other a stunningly well-made prosthetic. It's well done with minimal scarring to the surrounding tissue. Factually and unsurprisingly, the prosthetic is far better than the original. The green is eerily, unnaturally bright, and the pupil a swirl of black and brown with no clear boundary between the two. And then down the left side of her face, on the same side as the prosthetic, is a scar of 7 indiscriminate digits running from left cheekbone down to halfway down her neck. And when she when she reaches up to touch it, it feels like raised and fleshy, but not, like too new that it's painful to touch. It's still healing, but it's not faded. And
Yeah.
those are the descriptions of what she looks like. But when she first woke up and she tries to think about any of her history, that pain behind the prosthetic is too much, and she has to focus on something else. And I think that's when she hears the sounds of arguing, of muttering, and she kind of follows it and finds Spigot communicating with other people that work with the water bearers, or whoever they are. I don't know what you call them. Tenants, pupils, disciples, bros.
Bros. I mean,
Bros.
I like yeah, you follow the arguing, you hear some of the townsfolk arguing about why they're only getting like half a gallon now, because now it's been, a few more days and it's really starting to wonder, or to like wander towards negative, right? So why they're only getting half a gallon now when they got a gallon last week, absolutely easily draws you to the place. I love that.
I haven't washed dishes in over a month.
One of them is absolutely D-Ham yelling, "You haven't washed dishes ever." Hold on. You haven't washed dishes ever. You've collected them.
You didn't even know that you're a dishwasher yet?
No one's ever asked me to.
Oh no, hold on. That cannot, okay, hold on. That cannot be the way you run shit. I had to clean a bar for an hour and a half, actually 2 hours, because these motherfuckers don't hit corners. Don't hit corners so bad that the place we put our ice has black in the corners. Bro, like my well, I dare you to touch my well when I'm done and find something that's sticky. I couldn't open their well.
Ew,
and everyone's looking
that's
at me
gross.
fucking
I
frustrated.
will not touch your well. No, thank you.
I'm
you can,
always
because
sticky.
I also gonna clean it before I open, because that's what you should fucking do. But like, it's absolutely absurd. It's absurd to me, and everyone's like frustrated that you're not helping. Oh no, bitch, I am helping us not get shut down forever. Actually, is what I'm doing right. Anyway, clean D-Ham. You have to clean the dishes whether people tell you to or not.
I don't know what happens to the dishes after they get behind the barrier.
Rant over. That's the ending scene for sure. Anyway, I gotta figure out how to rephrase some of that so it's not so directed at the place I currently work and enjoy working. Okay. I think by leaving out that last part would be the best. Anyway, the number on the side of your face. I'm glad you hit like all the points I was like gonna be like, but what about X? I love it. Incredible. Number on the side of your face. Indiscriminate until our next session, because Grace will have a chance to make that number a factual number. So we'll have a number in what sits there, and I'm not gonna ruin it for anyone. Even hopefully for Grace, even when I give her the challenge to make her number. For now, she has chosen the indiscriminate number of 8005 going down the side of her face, which is perfect. I guess if it's 7, we can say 8005113. No, wait, 8008135. Yeah. That would be it. Boobies.
Or boobs with a bunch of O's.
Yeah. Actually, that's really good too. 8000008.
Boob.
Boob. is great also.
That's just
Either
for now. I'm ready to be struck by inspiration.
I mean, if you can, yeah, I mean, with what I've chosen, if you can get there, you can have exactly the number you want, even if you get above it, and it'll be still nice for your story. That'll be your like cap limit for how much joy you get.
Oh, goody. I love
In a
it when
good way,
the
in a
DM
good
cuts
way,
my
in
joy.
a way that you, in the way that you get the joke forever, and also the goodness of it. Anyway, yeah. So.
I don't have any idea what the numbers signify or represent.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't either.
Mm-mm.
So a couple weeks in, kind of a question for Petal and Spigot. A couple weeks in, I'm gonna say that Petal basically has been able. She was able in her work to bring it up from that half a gallon back to a gallon even, and then in that couple weeks, it has slowly reduced back to half a gallon of water, though she has found a way to sort of maintain that over the past few days. It seemingly slowing down its reduction. I don't know. The two of you talk to me about how this is sitting for you now. I think with update information, Spigot has received notes and, info from his group. Like, these engines are not, they can't just make another one. As easy as that. It's going to take a lot of time, and at least as far as he's concerned, seeing as things have gone already, more time than you would have for them to just make another one. Yeah, and let's say, hold on, the delivery driver's situation upon arrival. He may be alive, unconscious, and we can even say maybe at the end of this month, beginning to wake up and mutter. But the mutterings are incoherent as both of his eyes have been carved out, his tongue removed, and his ears sewn shut. Not actually, I'm going to say beyond sewn shut, because that has to be permanent, so probably eardrums punctured.
Oh.
How do you sew an ear shut?
Yeah, they didn't. Well, you pull the flap down and you sew it to the side of it, but then you just cut it and it's back open. So it's not like that's not anything good. They punctured his eardrums, so no
Awful.
ears, no eyes, no tongue.
No
But
worries.
so that's not helpful.
Just kidding. Many worries.
But he has woken up, and I'm not gonna portray this character because I think that any portrayal I do will be incredibly offensive. Incoherent mumbling because there is no tongue.
Yeah.
That I think is
Do we have
update
painkillers?
points. How are we at after a month? I'd say so. He's not in.
Okay.
Then no worries.
Also, it was probably a bit touch and go for a while, but he's,
Press
feeling
1
better.
for Advil, rapid release.
Less screaming, more mumbling lately. You can't also be the battle angel anyway. Yeah, the
Press
two of you
2 for nothing.
blatantly pressing 1 but accidentally hits 2 and the machine
Yeah.
goes, no. Yeah, how is this sitting? The two of you have had an incredibly important job over the last 2 weeks. Petal, difficult for you to find time, which might be beneficial for you in this time, but to find time to try to consider your traumas and why you can't remember. Heavy work.
Why
what
would
is
I
this
want to
like
do
for
that?
the two of you? Exactly.
Now, Cricket's obviously feeling slightly less stressed because now Petal's here to assist with the mechanical, upkeep of the machine. But he's still feeling a lot of stress because the townspeople are, being very pissy. So he's trying his best to keep everybody calm and make sure they understand that this is the only source of clean water, so they're going to have to bear with what they get. because the other option is no water at all. So he's trying to manage the problem, but he's clearly feeling the strain, especially with the news that he's gotten from his other water bros. That's Petal put it.
The water brewers. Oh no.
Yeah. So he's feeling like he's on the verge of feeling like he's got to go do something, but he can't leave the machine unattended. So I think he's going to want to communicate back to his order that they need to send someone out to maintain while he figures out what can be done to save this machine.
Yeah. Spigot, your time here has no, Petal, your time here has been pretty much solely devoted to maintaining this community's supply of water. As it diminishes, how is that settling with you in your haze?
It's good to have a purpose, like you said, to distract from the horrors. Um, and so it's good to have a job that turned out to be pretty indispensable. She
Yeah.
can't explain even know how she knows how to fix things. She doesn't know how, but her hands do the thing and they do it just fine. If she thinks about it too hard, the eye pain comes back and we just go right back to her. And nope,
That
not
phantom
today.
pain behind the fake eye?
Yeah, we just that's all right. We don't need to think about that. Um, but she also needs water to drink, so it isn't great that she can see being on the front lines that if they don't find a solution soon, there's just not going to be water by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And so that's not a great feeling to know that, and also to know that you also can't say that because then you're just going to spread fear everywhere. So
Yeah.
she's aware of the tension, but probably not to the same degree because she doesn't really know anybody because she's just been either out. I imagine that maybe she and Spigot take turns who gets to go outside because I think that the what is it called, the thing that where the
The filtration
building
plant,
where
like water
the
filtration
filter,
plant?
yeah, I imagine that the plant doesn't have a lot of light because some of that stuff light can really mess with. So
And
Yeah.
it's hot and it's humid,
mhm.
and it can be kind of oppressive to be in there for long periods of time.
So getting that breeze, even
Well,
if it
some of
is
it's
kind
like
of
secret, right?
Yeah. Some of
yeah.
it has to be
That's
hidden.
right.
Ooh, yeah,
So I'm
okay.
sure they take turns.
That's an interesting thing to talk about too. I'm listening. I'm gonna disappear into the background, so don't think I'm like gone. But I'm gonna ask this question. Then I'm curious about how the two of you sit. How is that? Like, I imagine some of those rooms are secret. Like the average layman is not probably allowed to see the engine. So how did this come about, and how is this transition from like total stranger to like allowed to touch the engine over the course of 10 days? That feels pretty hefty increase.
That is
Feel
a
like
hefty
maybe
increase. I'm sure that Spigot would have had the conversation with her that I'm grateful for your help, but you need to follow the rules of the water bearers when it comes to this equipment, and nothing that you see in here can be revealed, or there will be repercussions.
do either of you have like relevant history questions to this?
No, I only have one history
No,
question.
I have a question that could be related if I rephrased it, which is,
Hmm.
would you be willing, like me, to serve the source? And the source being the water.
That's so fire. I was thinking in the background absolutely about like it only makes sense that even if it was a quick swearing in that you and Grace can you can absolutely input on this, but may have sworn her in as a water bearer of some kind,
Giddy water
which
bearer.
it's that fucking question, but I don't want to force Grace into a box if that is averse to what she, wants. Maybe there's a way she earned her way into it. I don't want to take that away.
I think I think I like the idea of, having an identity of pedal dash water bearer. But I think she would also, I don't know how she would prove that she knows how to do the engineering stuff that kind of shows how valuable she is. I'm not sure if that would be a test or some
Yeah.
accidental.
I think that I'd like this to be specified because we have an engineer on the team. And that's like part of what he'd do. I'd like this to be specified to the engine, and I think that with that case, it probably is like you heard it churning in the background. Like it reached a point where it is so loud that even when you're in the building, you can hear this thing's chug, and maybe that's particular. Like, and that's how it's tied to this engine, right? Like you know that sound, and you were like, hold on, I know that sound, and maybe you guys discussed it a little bit, and you gave enough info that he was like,
Hmm.
Well, I'm desperate. Please,
Yeah, I
maybe
think
if
she
this
kind
is
of was
what we
like,
get.
well, yeah, he was like, so do you want to join? I was like, yeah, but I've got conditions because clearly I'm, I don't know
Namely,
how.
amnesia.
The condition, that's funny as fuck.
I don't know how I know it, but clearly I know this thing that nobody else knows. I'm not gonna blab, but I don't want to be like
Tied down.
tied down to having to be a water bearer.
Yeah.
I'd be a
No,
water
that makes
I,
engineer.
sense. I
you
think
haven't taken a full oath, but maybe you've agreed to the terms of during this period of engagement, you will follow the water
Yeah.
bearer code.
yeah, that feels like a fair trade. Like she probably saw the engine before you all but you didn't force her into it, but like it's more of like I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the room
Yeah,
and not talk about
unless,
this unless you could
yeah.
help me. And while we're getting things figured out, the water bears help
Here,
people, so you're
sign
helping
this.
her get things figured out.
Yeah.
Let's take it back to the junkyard. This delivery van has come in, and I would imagine it got stripped for its easy access parts, but Dill, as you've been digging through it looking for the juiciest bits you can squeeze for your nasty juice, your over the face raw hand squeeze juice, fresh squeeze, get your dill juice. That you've come
Nope,
across
just for
a
me.
just for me. You've come across a little flyer for a shopping complex. Um I mean, it seems that way. It's like a mall. I don't know, it feels strange to give it a name because that's gonna go so far back. But I guess it will. We're just gonna call it the Greenbrook Mall. It's a flyer for the Greenbrook Mall. Looks like a bunch of teens like hanging out, partying. All of them have 4 arms, and they're like, vaguely non-humanoid, but human shaped. I guess they are humanoid then, but non-human. That would be what I meant to say. Partying,
Like some
there's a little
Machamps champing it
arcade.
out.
Exactly, a bunch of Machamp humans champing it out. There's an arcade machine in the background, some roller skates, and it says like, all the fun you could have at the Greenbrook Mall. Back in the back of this delivery van. And that just, it seems out of place because everything else, this is a water bearer delivery van. Everything in here is coming from the actual, like, I would say monastery at the source, which is not the main capital city, but upstream at the source of where the water comes from, which not many people are allowed in, so you wouldn't know much beyond that. But it came from the source, not anywhere else. So the Greenbrook Mall, that ain't that. Everything else in the van is very particular to the job that it should have been doing, which is delivering this high-tech engine.
But it is now destroyed. This is now a thing that I'm stripping.
Yeah, stripping it for parts. This is the engine was absolutely wrecked. Like the whole thing was flipped and tumbled and whatnot. It
And
was
it's
found like
messy in
upside
there.
down and shit, and it's messy. Yeah.
There's bits.
Mm.
Bits of driver.
Bits of driver. That's not quite the kind of mess I was
Not.
hoping for.
I would probably say not noticeable bit. Like his eyes aren't there. He didn't lose his eyes and ears and tongue in the accident.
No,
That
I know,
would have
but if
been.
it happened inside the vehicle, there probably was,
Oh, that's a good point.
you
That's a good
know.
point.
Yeah, no, the front of the vehicle is probably something of a horror show. I was gonna say that Dill like licks all of the mess, but that's not the kind of mess we're talking about.
No, Grace
He
makes
probably
a
does
great
tongue the
point.
engine a little bit though.
Wait, am I? No, Mike's muted. Grace makes a great point. That, and you might have noticed this too. Like the wreckage and whatnot on the inside is definitely due to a wreck. There's not like excessive amounts of torture blood in here. Like you could theorize that he did not lose his eyes in this truck. Kind of
Yeet.
situation.
Well, Dill, grabs for all the any loose rivets and just rips the vehicle apart bit by bit. That's the way.
Still, there's got to be a basic roll here for something fun to ask some questions. Let's get into checking if we can make rolls for this game. Let me look this up. I got to learn our basic moves with us. There's got to be like a investigate a mystery move from. Huh.
It's not really a mystery solving game.
Oh, here it is. Well, nope.
What are my stats? Let me see.
Aggressive situation. It really isn't a mystery solving game, and that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I'm not like skipping over something that is like mechanical for us to do. Read a situation is like when you're in an aggressive like situation you're trying to read in terms of like ways in and out, fights and enemies, things like that. I still think there probably could be an investigative role of some kind to get extra stuff, and it feels like a sharp roll to me. So roll plus sharp. A Theodore. On a 10 plus, before we even roll, I'll let you know. On a 10 plus, I'll let you hold 2. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. And you can ask, I don't know, vague questions about this van in front of you. Things you hear that are hidden, or extra ways it's broken, or like, I don't know, narrative questions to ask about the van, kind of along the lines of read a person, except this is.
Read a panel van.
Is that not one? Okay.
Read a person is. That's what I'm saying. Read a person is, but there.
Yeah, but this is an object.
I mean,
I've rolled a 2.
You've rolled a 2. Okay.
So it's perfect. Dill. Not only is Dill has a -1 sharp, he also is just here to destroy a van and reduce it to its component bits. There's a piece of paper, and he takes the piece of paper and he puts it with the other papers. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He's probably got some sort of like combustibles. It's probably with the like the seats and the upholstery,
things that ignite quick, so I can light fire when it's cold.
Yeah, this is my burn pile.
Awesome. I think in your stripping of the van, what I will give you is that some of the parts don't seem like they were a part of this van. Like,
were they a part of the engine that we was transporting?
I like the stick shift is a different thing. Like like all of the console fits together in this nice, like I'll say like cream white blue accented situation to really match the water bearer's imagery. Maybe bronze in there somewhere. But this like, shift stick is black with like a red bomble on the end of it, like a red knob on the end of it. I'm gonna say that's the a weird standout, that it just doesn't fit in with anything. So you strip it down. um Dham, as tensions rise in the town, the tavern definitely becomes a lot more rowdy, we should probably say, as water is reduced and alcohol consumption is probably increased. How is this going for you as, the more like rowdy nature is coming out of the town?
The benefit I would say of Ham's side gig as the town handyman, if anybody starts to really get out of hand, much like the water bearers, Ham can threaten to not fix their watches and their like not anything that would be life threatening necessarily, but it'd be a bummer if you couldn't have it fixed. Like, what
fix
if your
cars?
flashlight stopped working? I could fix a car. I've fixed a car here and there. I have my own car.
Hmm.
No one can
Not
ride
my
in
car.
it. I don't know you. Do I know you? Do you have a car? Have I talked to you?
I think
We
as far as
we don't have any history. We haven't done our history
we haven't
questions
done
yet.
the
I don't
history
know.
bit yet.
Then no, I don't know about your car and I don't want it.
But
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
So
definitely
I
can.
think that the
Yes.
the rowdiness in the tavern is often tempered by Ham's presence.
Just a real
You
quick
know-
improv note. I don't want it. I don't I don't know about it and I don't want it is like super averse to yes and, but I do like where you're coming from. I'm just kidding. I'm just laughing about that. That's so funny.
No and never.
No, and I don't want to either. We're gonna do this instead.
Well, now my character has a problem.
My tattoo is suddenly a lot longer. That's funny as fuck. Okay. With tensions at a sort of high point throughout the town, you can withhold. I mean, I would imagine
The
that
neutral
while
ground.
you
This is sacred to us here in the town.
Yeah, I mean, while you serve the tables, I would also imagine that you can, like, you're not the operator of DeLuca's, but you are the main worker. Like, there's probably a boss that owns the establishment, but you can naysay folks to all parts of DeLuca's. No gambling, none of the sex rooms, none of the food, none of the no nothing. If you want to act a fool, so.
If you are being rude, no sex for 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Wow. Here's what I'll give you. Why don't you give me? Oh man, these roles are not so much the exact like, basic moves, but I would like from you. I'm gonna look at these stats. I still gotta learn them myself. Let's see. Well, I don't know. How do you go about? Is this a cool? Is it hard? Like more strong-willed and like domineering them into being okay or like being cool, or is it like I'll give you free stuff? Are you like being cool about it? Are you being sharp-witted? Like what's the vibe in which you control your crowd? That is, I guess, what I'm trying to grasp.
I think it's pretty. It's not aggressive, but it's passive aggressive. I'll just be like, "Oh, you're acting like that? Okay."
I'm gonna call that a hard roll. Like, I think so, unless one of these better fit, maybe cool, but I think hard still fits the vibe, even though you're going like passive hard.
I can get harder. I am a robot. I'm made of hard. Oh, I'm not that made of hard. Let me double check what my bonuses are. Okay. Okay, so including my bonuses, that's going to be a 4.
The water is affecting everyone. You can't get clean dishes, and that's really, I think, what a lot of the holdup is. It's not so much here that tensions are obviously high, but you are having to clean the dishes in a different way. Talk to me about how you're having to clean these dishes with no water. I know that you store them in your chest, but you gotta clean them somehow.
We are in a wet environment. The bar is wet. So, I must remove the wet. And how may I do that, you ask? Well, something we have in abundance here at Tedville. Tedstown? Ted's Spot. The
All of
Lucas
them.
Chop House. Is sand. So inside of my chest cavity today is sand.
No.
And it's not dirty if it's sandy.
Oh, who'd we lose? We lost me. Oh, fuck, what? That 1, wild. 2, actually effective. So impressive. Like, you can clean shit with grit. I have done it on camping like adventures before. You can absolutely just sand clean your dishes, and it is 100% okay to continue. I would not say forever, but you also maintain what you eat when you're doing that, so it's a little different. That's a fucking great answer.
I hope it's not forever.
Yeah, I think what the biggest frustration then is what I'm going to give you with the 4. There is frustration, but it's about the grit. I don't think there's anything besides that, like grit in all of the beer. You just get sandy beer right now.
Press
but
1 for grit.
They don't.
Press 2 for grit.
They don't.
There is only grit.
They panic, and then
You've
that's why
pressed
the fighting
1 repeatedly,
happens.
over and over and over. You get it. You've got it. Grit.
You get it. You've got it. Grit is definitely the name of the episode. Thank you,
Oh
everybody.
my gosh.
We'll see. That's fantastic. Okay. I think now is a great time to do a little circle talk of let's do some like history circle talk. Let's do it in order of folks I introduced. So we'll go Dill, D-Ham, Spigot, then Pedal. Dill, hit us. What does this question stuff look like? I actually haven't. I put it in everyone's stuff, but didn't really read it over. Introduces by name, look, and outlook. We've done kind of that. Go around again for history. Hey, look at that. On your turn, consider these. Oh, well, talk to me. Talk to me, Dill. I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah, it seemed like you were having a great time there.
I was reading.
Yeah. So if we all go to Dill's page and we look at this fun list of things to consider.
Consider these. Just for the fun, the play along at home is consider these: human blood, any blood, raw flesh, electricity, terror, poison, or the moment of death.
Ow.
It feels a little bit like a Cards Against Humanity.
It does.
Set of answers here, but what the question is. So my first question here is, which one of you has provided me with one of these items? And I get to pick which one of these items. Which one of you has provided me with...
I think we've talked about this one, though. This is the thing. This is your, like... I think
Yeah,
this is
which one of you has which one of you has provided me with poison?
And his... talk to us about your poison. You're like... Is it all
No.
poison?
Nope, I won't.
Okay.
Sure.
Which one of you has provided me with poison?
I can't have this poison in here. I'm trying to run a successful business.
What kind of poison you got?
Wet.
Wet.
That's my favorite kind. Dry poison goes down so rough.
It's gritty.
Yeah, he has to snort it, and he hates that. Even
Do
with
the gritty.
Even when I can stretch my nostril, like scoop it up.
Oh my god.
oh, the cocaine spoon is your nose is unacceptable, and that also is a really good episode title.
Gosh, there's a certain animator who does these horrible little animations, and I can't remember his name
Oh,
at the moment.
Felix. Are you talking Felix
Nope.
Are you talking
Nope.
the banana guy? I'm a banana?
Nope, not Don Hertzfeld either. This
Damn.
is. I'll find him at some point. This is something my dad had.
Okay.
With these animations where, like, oh man, this is not really related to anything, but it was like lists of dumb, like, phrases, and then it would be an animation of a dude doing a weird thing. Like, I do believe he ate a person with his nose. Do you remember this, Grace? Is this something?
Grace?
My sister isn't answering me. Anyways,
Did we lose Pedal? Grace. No way. Are you asleep right now? We best wake your ass up. No, you're trying to fix your camera. I see you talking. Try leaving and coming back. That was a joke. The best wake your ass up was just a joke. Just a joke.
Press 1 for I will come into your bedroom and wake you up. Press 2 for jump scare Santa Claus.
We lost her mic and her camera. Well, yeah, she saw the message. Perfect.
Okay.
Poison.
Well,
okay, D-Ham provided
for
you with
Ham, I
poison.
mark 1 for history. And now
We'll do a second question.
I do have my second question when Grace returns. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, when I said
But
come
I'm pretty
back, maybe she can't
sure
come back.
based on what Grace's character is, I already know
It really
the way
just
that
makes
this
sense.
the way this
but-
has to go. But it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting based on the one that I've picked, how we're going to go about this.
Grace, can we hear you? Hello? No, would be the answer if you're talking. What a terrible time for this to go wrong. The regretting will show that we tried really hard. Oh, we lost Grace on the Legend Keeper. She gone. Is she gone from Craig? Oh, she gone from Craig. No, she not. Who's gone from Craig? I don't believe he is, but it says Mike is gone from Craig. Don't refresh. Don't do anything.
Yeah, I am not gone.
You're
I am
not.
still here.
I know this. Sometimes, though, I think it because you've even spoken about like sometimes your internet cuts out. Every now and then
that's
I get
entirely
like
possible.
3 recordings from Mike, and they all line up. Like it all still lines up perfectly, but I have 3 separate recordings from Mike.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know what
Hello?
that is. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey,
Oh, hello.
welcome back.
Wow, okay, so that was crazy. I don't know what happened, but I started hearing everybody's audio all at the same time, but like lagged, I think.
Oh no.
So that was wild. I also might have lost my Craig Craig tab.
Just refresh that internet page, click the link again, come back in. I'll get to fuck around in the background. All this is good testing stuff. I do actually think that in the near future we'll be testing like a different recording software because it's like $20 for the first month, and that's kind of worth it to me to test because I think it will hit perfectly. It's like the one constraint is 10 hours of recording a month, which sounds low, but I think that we only hit about 8 to 9, so and that's on a busy month. I don't actually think we hit 10, so should be in the safe on that, but we're gonna maybe test some new stuff soon. So but yeah,
To answer your question, Gabe, It is the 21 ways to quit smoking, and the guy eats it with his nostril. Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
yes, that's exactly what I was talking about.
I only could hear bits and pieces, but I heard like weird animation and nostril, and I was like, ugh.
I
Yeah, she was
know,
trying
I
to
knew
show
you
you the
would.
whole
That's
time.
why I was like, I was weird. I hadn't heard from my sister yet as I was spinning
No,
this
I
yarn.
was trying. I was trying.
Yeah, he
Let
was
me
like, Grace,
see.
does this make any sense? And there was just radio
Bill
silence.
Bill Plimpton.
Bill
Bill
Plimpton.
Plimpton is the
Oh,
name of this
yeah.
gentleman.
Yeah.
You should if you've got if you've
Sounds
got 5
familiar.
minutes to spare, you should go and watch 25 Ways to Quit
Okay.
Smoking. It's
Oh, 25.
inspirational.
I don't know why I said 20.
Grace, can you turn on your camera again, just for things to latch up?
Oh, yes.
As long as it doesn't fuck everything up. If it does, then we can turn it off, and I'll deal with it on the back end. It actually may not matter at all anymore, but I just want to double check while it may.
Let's see. The computer is very warm, so everything's taking a second to
You know what?
register.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. If computer is hot, I don't actually need the video. I've been cutting, I think, most of the video most of the time. I'd like to still figure out a different solution because it's better for clips with to have some video, but we don't need it for the actual podcast, right?
Anywho.
Okay. Yes, Gabe did a question. Your first question was who has provided you with poison, and that seemed to be D-Ham, who is giving you the poisons that he no longer wants to keep in his... Yeah, I would say just ignore it.
This is not edible. Get it out of here.
Did we lose you again, though, Grace? I just want
Delicious.
to make sure.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect,
Okay,
perfect.
excellent.
I saw Flash. I just want to double check.
And so now my second question, which one of you has blocked me from the moment of death?
I thought all these were the same. I also
Nope.
like the...
Choose one.
Guess it is. But does that choose one not apply for...
I'm just choosing to interpret it how I feel like.
Fair. It doesn't matter, I guess, at
What
that
does that
point.
even
Anyway,
mean, though, blocking someone from death?
they cucked him from dying.
Save my life.
Yeah.
I think prevented my demise, which
Got
I
it.
will say I'm like a cockroach. I'm a pretty difficult sucker to kill. In fact, it says in my character sheet that no amount of harm can kill me. But I can be like sterilized. Or the hot part of the planet would, I burn. In fact, I burn pretty readily from all of the poisons that are in me. So perhaps, which one of you put me out one time?
I feel like maybe that's a spigot thing.
Yeah.
If you were burning or smoldering, it would be the guy who has access to water who might have...
It does
Seem
seem like the
fit to
only
put you
time
out.
that I
Yeah.
would need the water, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you were drinking lighter fluid next to an open fire, and it just went wrong this time, and Spigot had to put you out.
I do have -2 sharp.
No one
What a
has
bad
ever
burp.
seen Dill panic until he was on fire, and then it was like a sheer terror panic.
Yeah, it's
Not from
also
Dill either,
something
which
of
is
a body
shocking.
horror.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. His body is going insane.
It's exactly like if you light a Cronenberg creature on fire. It's like that.
I like that. Spigot. So Spigot stopped you from the moment of
Thank you,
death. What does
sir.
that mean for you?
It means that Spigot gets a 2 for history from me, and
for everyone else?
For Petal gets a -1.
Oh,
You are but shadows to me. You're new in town.
And that actually makes sense because it says
I don't
there have
know
been
you.
shadows to you before now, which is super tracks for the implant into town.
So, there is a final bit that technically happens at the end, but it sort of feels like we could probably knock all of this out now. The stat stuff.
Yeah, we can hit that on others' turn.
Yeah. So, Mike, you've got the highest history with me. So which of my stats do you think is the most interesting?
All
Do you
right.
think cool dill, hard dill, hot dill, sharp dill, or weird dill is
One
the
fish,
most
two fish, red
interesting?
fish, blue fish.
It's,
Red
I
fish, weed
think,
fish.
yeah, I think
This one
hard
drives
dill
a little
Dill.
car.
is like right on par. So I think the most interesting one to me is that you have got +2 to weird.
I sure
And
do.
I'm curious to see how that plays out with
We
a
haven't gotten
character
to everything I've got going on yet.
who's not sharp, but has access to these, to the opening your brain. Open your
To the
mind.
psychic maelstrom
Yes.
in
So
game parlance.
to me, I think that one's probably the most interesting, and I look forward to seeing how that plays out.
I like it. So
I'm here
highlight
for that.
weird, and then you get to pick one of your own to highlight.
No, you do. You pick one of
I
mine.
get to pick one.
You get to pick one from each character.
I sure do. Okay, let me think. Weird is highlighted. I think what's interesting is highlighting like having the other highlighted stat be because of your contamination. So like everything unhighlighted is what dill can do, and the highlighted stat being weird, which already makes sense because contamination. I think the other one, even though it's your -1, is going to be sharp. Because I think that your contamination is weird and sharp, and that I think hot is off the board, but you're hard and cool, and that's it. I know that your hot is +1.
I do have a +1 to hot, and
we'll figure that
out.
out.
It's just the spreads that exist.
When you gotta get sexy, we'll make it weird and sexy.
I think there's probably something a little unnerving about the way that I move.
Uncanny Valley.
Is sort of. I don't
Press 3
like
for
that I'm going to do
electric
this, but it's
personality.
sort of a sensual movement.
It's like a Mads Mikkelsen vibe, I think.
I am enamored with the world around me and all of its various juices.
Very
I
sensual.
eat batteries sexily.
Like you're touching and you're caressing the things around you, and sometimes that may mean your ally's gun, and sometimes that may not, be the steering wheel of the car as you drive. Like you love the feeling. I like that. That's very fun. That's where your hot comes from.
I'm very sensitive.
In the wrong moment, it could turn anyone on, and that's what you all need to be careful of.
Not me.
Not Grace ever specifically.
Not pedal.
Oh wait, no, not pedal. No, not pedal.
-1.
And
man.
I think that's it. That's that for me. So who was next? I think it was Lawrence.
I think that was Eham.
Give me just 1 second.
We're doing the history checks now?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. I think we'll knock this one out right away, just as soon as M gets back.
Okay.
Because I want him to be... Okay.
I was explaining a fun thing about corks. Hit it.
Here we go. Which one of you is the most strange?
But it also, for this answer, it says for those characters.
What's the strange rankingness here?
Yeah, what's the strange rankingness, guys?
Just
I think my strange gauge goes up to 11. So
yeah,
it may even go up to 13.
I don't know. There's something about an implant with boobs carved into the side of their face is pretty good to me.
It's pretty high up there.
Boob.
Is that canon, or is that a number that's going to change?
I get a chance to pick it's esoteric.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick it. You will have to earn it.
I mean,
I get an episode to earn it.
How do we do better than a bare-fisted battery acid squeezer?
Yeah.
And I gave him poison, and he said, "Yum yum yum,
yum yum yum," and he drank it right away. What the fuck?
Right in front of me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely the strangest for sure.
And it was a 5-gallon tub.
I had so much poison.
That means
Not
what,
anymore.
Just stood there and chugged it.
That means for Dill, you get that, what it looks like +1?
+1.
Interesting. Okay,
Yep.
that's fun.
What's your second one?
And
We'll just go through them.
which one of you is the biggest potential problem?
Well,
I think it might be boob face.
yeah, probably boob.
What?
You're unknown, and all you remember is like
You know,
very.
it makes perfect sense that the robot doesn't really care about the water bearer.
Hmm.
Actually, that tracks entirely. Because I would
I'm not in
imagine
charge
that-
of that part.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Right.
the biggest potential problem because you don't know, therefore he can't know, and he can process once he knows. That's easy, but
Yeah.
you don't know, so he can't know, and therefore that's scary. And his next thing is for everyone else, right? Hex
Minus
minus
one?
1. You've got other stuff to do and other stuff to learn, so it just totally makes sense. Water bear is taken care of. He doesn't need to worry about that. So that's +1 for Theodore, +2 for Grace's character, and -1 for Mike's character.
Oh no, it's happening.
Oh no, it's happening? Oh no, it's happening.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, that was so big. It was happening and then it stopped happening. Okay,
I'm
sorry.
glad
Am I
it's-
writing +1 or -1 for me?
You're not
It cut
writing
out.
anything. That's actually all for Lawrence's character. He's just picking.
You're
Grace.
picking one of his stats.
Oh no, it's
Oh yeah,
happening.
but now you at the end choose character with the highest HX. So Grace, you get to pick one of his one of DHam's stats and highlight it, which is gonna be like beneficial.
Give me a good one.
In another way, I actually have to relook up what that means.
Press
But you
4
basically get
to
to highlight
learn what
one
that
of his
means.
stats, improving it in some form or fashion. I'm gonna imagine that it happened again.
Good.
Nope. You here?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we hear you.
We
Okay.
can hear you.
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
I'm scrolling to his stats.
Any of them jump out to you as things that would be fun
Most
or interesting
interesting.
about his
Open it.
character?
Oh, he's got a picture. That's nice. Come on, little computer.
Basically, it's cool, hard, hot, sharp, or weird. What do you think is the most interesting facet of
How
DHam?
cool I am. How weird I am. How hard I am.
And
How
I
hot
am
you're
hard as
not.
fuck.
Okay, so okay, I pulled up a sheet. Am I back? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're just picking one of
Sweet.
his
Okay,
5
so it
stats
happened
to,
again.
to
You
say
didn't
is
know.
interesting. Yes, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna I'm sorry, I might have cut out. Am I adding something to it or am I just saying
You're just considering which of the 5 stats is most interesting to improve for DHam. I don't know in what way yet, but you're improving one of his stats, either cool, hard, hot, sharp, or weird.
got it. Well, he's not very hot. I think it's interesting that robots aren't hot because I feel like a robot can be made to look anyway. Like,
That's a fact.
why not
That's
make it
interesting.
cool? Like, why not make it pleasing to the eye to behold?
All right. Highlight hot. You know what? I'm gonna patch on to that. Actually, while talking with Lawrence, the hot and the cool aspect of being a robot has been left by the wayside. Oh wait, we don't add. Just leave it at -1. We're just gonna highlight Yeah, check that box. I don't know what that checkbox means. It means something. I'm gonna highlight cool. So we're highlighting cool and hot for this robot who has actively chosen to make himself sort of nondescript, piecemeal, and built together. But I think that I agree with Grace in that you can build yourself up to be whatever you want. You can build yourself
I
up
want to be
cool
a
and hot.
lemon Pfeiffer.
Well, okay, when I say whatever you want, I don't mean like you can categorically change like your sense of being, but like
We'll
you
see.
can fair.
Press
Okay.
3 to change your general sense of being.
Fair. Okay, good point. Man, another good episode title. Spigot.
Yes. Time for
Yeah.
history questions. All right, so I've already asked one of my questions.
Which
So
one of you like me serve the source? We know that's +2 with
yes,
Grace's
that's
character
plus
pedal.
2 with pedal. Yep. So my other question is, which one of you
Woo.
once gave me water in the wilderness, whether that's real or metaphorical?
That one's tough, and it can't be pedal.
I mean,
Yeah, because pedal's
yeah, it can't
new.
be me because I.
It seems most likely that it would be Decam.
Decam makes
I
more
feel
sense
like
than
I would
Decam.
actually have water on me rather than battery acid or whatever.
That's
And
probably very
sometimes,
true.
I'm in the wilderness looking for ingredient books.
You have
I
one.
think about metaphorical water.
Yeah, if you can come up with something metaphorical other than my literal.
You have one storage tank. Currently, you use it for plates, but it is airtight, and you can use it for water.
These
You
plates
just
are
choose
wet.
not to currently. That's awesome.
Press 2 for wet plates.
Metaphorical water. I mean, still, if you came across someone dying in the wastes, what would you do? Would you feed them food and water, or would you try to serve them poison?
No, I mean Dill knows that he's Dill.
Okay, okay.
And the other people are not Dill.
That's mostly what he knows. He
Yeah.
doesn't know that he's Dill for sure, but he knows that other people aren't.
I'm pretty definitely Dill. Yeah, I mean, I think if Dill came across someone in the wasteland, he would probably, sling him over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and go on his way. When he found, oh no,
Lost Grace entirely again.
when he found some shelter, you'd deposit them in it, maybe slap them.
Which do you think it's more likely that one of you is out in the wilderness, out and about? It's
I'm
hard
constantly in the wilderness.
Oh, well.
If I'm not repairing something or I'm not in the restaurant, I'm in the wilderness.
Sorry, I'm on my phone now because the phone literally just like turned off, or the computer, or my roommate's computer. So I
Huh.
really hope it didn't just die because I
That
would
was
feel
your
bad.
new computer?
No, this is my roommate's computer.
Well,
that
yeah, but
I doubt that a Discord
Luckily,
call
if it-
would kill a computer stone dead.
luckily, if it just turned off, it's not like you dropped it. Like, it's not it. That
You
isn't
weren't doing anything
a
wrong.
use case, right? That isn't like a oops, I spilled something. It is. There's nothing that could have been done.
That's fair. I'm gonna plug it in when I put it back in her room, and maybe it'll be fine.
Well, that's the answer for sure, and that's also why when it gets
Well,
below.
Well, it was plugged in with my charger, but maybe it only likes the cord that
Could've
came
been
with
too-
it.
Yeah,
I
could've been
would
too low voltage.
recommend if you're ever running any recording stuff on a laptop to always keep it plugged in the whole time you're using it.
Well, it was plugged in, but it wasn't plugged in with her
Okay.
computer. Like it was like
it might have been not getting a correct power supply.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like you're already on
I
it.
couldn't find hers. Yeah, but
No
I think it's on
notes
her bed.
then.
Oopsie-doo.
That may
But I'm
affect the
I'm
Craig
back.
thing, but I can pull you from a separate thing probably. There's just two separate I don't know, kinds of. We'll see. We'll see. It shouldn't matter.
Now, here's the one other wrinkle that I could introduce is Dill is an idiot. However, Dill is not the only consciousness rattling around in that big yellow boy. And the other consciousness in there is super duper intelligent and deeply calculating. And so it could also be, in one of his Dill fugues, that he, came upon if you were a water bearer at that point, you would be, someone worth saving.
But now this goes into part of my backstory, which we haven't covered, which is part of the way I became a water bearer is they helped me recover from some of the trouble I got into. So maybe you discovered me and took me to the water bearers and said, I can't help him, but maybe you can.
You
That's
shall.
In
interesting.
exchange for
That's
paper.
interesting.
I'll give you this man for some
That's
batteries.
a really long game, and I do like
Yeah.
that as a like an alien intelligence's time traveling chess move.
I mean, then I think at that point I might call the water metaphoric and just leave it at that because I've got a cool
Yeah.
idea. But Dill provided you water and took you to the water bearers, and that is where you found yourself. Maybe even so much that you may not.
Dill does not know this.
Okay, I guess, but you remember Dill's face. You would have to because it's your history.
Yeah.
Dill is pretty memorable.
That's fair. You've only seen one of him.
In my delusion, when they took me to the water bearers,
Delusion.
I was rescued by a giant banana.
Lost in the delusion is really good too. Oh man.
Rescued by a giant banana.
Rescued
An evil
by a
banana.
Amazing.
Oh,
All right, so Dill is
Benevolent.
+3 history. That's pretty
really
wild.
funny.
Which of you like me serve the source for the water bearer +2 with pedal? And for everyone else, HX +1. You saw them coming, so you get a little bit no matter what because of I like to imagine that just because of your job, right? Like everyone needs
Yeah.
water. Even the fucking dishwasher.
Yeah.
Choose the character with the highest stat, not the highlightest stat, but the highest one, which is Dill.
That's Dill.
You get to pick one of his stats to highlight, the water bearer, and I will get to pick the other. I've got mine picked out, but if you pick it, I'll pick something else.
If you want to go first, because you have one, I don't have one. Yours might help inform mine.
I'm gonna highlight hard because I think that even though I keep picking the negative stat, and it's not because I want to pick the negative stat, but it's because I think that these are just interesting stats for this character. Like hard, you would have to be hard sometimes, and even if you're bad at it, you would have. I don't know what kind.
It's still practiced.
It's exactly like that's got to be part of the training to turn people down, even when they're in need. Sometimes, like you have to pick and choose those battles, and that's got to be something important. So I think highlight hard for me.
All right.
And on my end, I'm going to highlight sharp, because when I was looking at your history text, the history +1, you saw them coming. That phrase jumped out at me.
I like it.
Nice.
Okay, last but not least, we have pedal.
I can no longer see my sheet, but I only have one question, and it is, which one of y'all gave me food?
Which one of you have shared your own food with me?
Not it.
I think that's Spigot.
I
Nobody
don't
Yeah.
have
got
any
multiple
food of my
answers as
own.
well.
That seems like a easy crossover. She identified the problems with the machine. He welcomed her in and said, "My resources are at your disposal if you can help me keep the machine running."
So we've got a yes on Spigot, a no categorically on Dill because you don't want his food, nor would he choose to share it. I imagine. I think I heard a no
You're a
from you.
shadow to me.
That's fair. You're a shadow to him. Yeah.
Then
Okay,
you're a
no-
banana to me.
You're a banana to
Gross
me, but
banana.
not one I can eat.
I do like the idea that at some point during this companionship between Spigot and Petal,
We call it banana.
you've heard the story of the banana that lives in the junkyard.
Just like
and
the
saved his life one time.
the rancid banana. I haven't met him. I just know he's
Your banana to me is also a good episode title.
That's
Yeah.
a fact. What about Decam? Has he shared food with Petal?
Can you buy it?
Oh, so not shared, but
I
provided.
don't have any money. Probably.
I don't have
yeah,
any.
yeah,
I don't have
provided
any
you-
food of my own.
Yeah, then
So no.
Press 4 for free food.
do you
Okay,
also
so
have are you like an answering service on top of a dishwasher? Is that
My
the thing?
primary function is being an answering service for DeLuca's Chop House.
he straight up takes reservations, but he has had a bit of a promotion.
Would you like to
since
hear
his-
your
those
reservation
days.
voicemail?
Hmm.
Whoa, we'll make that our we'll make the reservation
the owner.
voicemails our wonderful credits. We'll have Lawrence read them in his voice the whole time. I actually am weirdly into that.
I do also like the press number as a episode sequence.
Oh yeah.
Press 1 for
Press
either
2
sometime he said
for-
it or
okay,
one of our
okay.
quotes.
I like that. That's fun. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Okay.
Press 1 for banana savior.
It is 9, and I do
Savior.
know we have gone through histories. We got H1 for
Wait, nobody picked my. Does nobody pick my things? Because
Oh wait,
I'm
no, that's what we're about to get to. We
Mike
got
has
plus
to pick a
1
stat.
for Mike, so Mike, you pick a stat, and then I'll pick a stat.
Ooh, all right.
Everyone else
I
has
get to pick
minus
stat.
1.
Let me go to Petal.
Yeah.
Interesting that your visions are plus cool.
I agree with that.
It's not a weird vision, it's a hold it together kind of a
It's like a premonition.
Yeah.
that feels more weird actually. This feels like don't wig out.
That's a good point. Like, don't get lost in the vision. Keep it together.
Don't get lost in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. And torn between cool and sharp, because sharp, she came in and read the situation with the machinery that helps Spigot.
That's a
But
good
I
point.
think she's also come in and she's been the calm presence that's helped Spigot make it through this far when he was starting to lose his cool.
My answer will not help you, so I am
Oh,
wait.
excellent. Yeah, then I'm gonna go with sharp, because she came in and she read the situation and helped me out.
And I'm gonna go with weird. Weird because, I mean, she's got a lot going on in her head, and even though her visions are based on cool, she can keep it together, but there's a lot of weirdness happening around her, and it will fit a lot of what she's got going on, I think. So I'm gonna pick weird without saying much more. And that takes care of our history. I think it only makes sense to set us up in the spot that I want us to be in. and that I have prepared for us. And we can add in narrative bits about ways that we find ourselves here. In fact, we'll have to. So maybe that feels like a good introductive episode. Yeah. I think I can still get us to the same, like, basic starting place next time. I want to wrap it for time. So, I guess that's where we find ourselves. Not even I guess, but that is where we find ourselves. Sort of overviewing this town on the edge of crisis. Their water filtration system, like we've said, the lifeblood of this town, on the verge of collapse. The town holding it together, but only somewhat. Tensions on the rise. I think before it's fully stripped, the town, some folks, I don't know what group would do that. Probably the law folks, or I don't know, some sect of the savvy heads or engineers or whatnot, came and gave everything a once over and have found some information that is beginning to disseminate of a ruined building complex a number of miles outside of the main city, in between here and there, this large metropolis that is sort of forever esoteric for us. But before we would even reach there, this complex, this Greenbrook Mall, and yes, we know we have eyes set on this distinct location, but I will need to figure out how to force everyone into a squad, which I am on the cusp of, but for now, I think we can, sort of fade out with this bird's eye view. Town in moderate crisis, doing an okay job of maintaining their tempers as water rations dwindle, and that becomes more of an issue. The water bearer, Spigot, has sent requests for help, and the request has been approved. There should be someone, a stand-in, arriving soon to maintain your facility while you deal with the problem at hand. Typically, the foray of the, or not foray, but the way that it goes with water bearers is, you deal with it yourself. And you are planning on doing just so once a stand-in arrives. But for now, tensions rise, and we fade to black as the people of the town try to figure out what to do with their dwindling water resources. And we'll be back next time on Dungeons, Drive-Ins, and Dice. I fully expected to be prepared with the title on that one, but I just didn't want to put in, another 20, 30 minutes on getting to that moment so that we can cut for time so that Grace could get some modicum of moment to herself before she has to go to work.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yes. So for now, we'll just call it Dungeons, Drive-Ins, and Dice, but there will be a title on this episode. And before that episode releases, we will know the title. And you guys will probably have a PNG to check out. So,
A wetter world.
For now, we'll go with
A
press
wetter
3 for a
world.
wetter world. And I think we'll still have Grace develop her number, but we'll keep it on the DL
Oops.
until we get to that moment. It is until then 8000085. I have been M, and this has been Dungeons, Drivings, and Dice, a wetter world.
And this has been Boobs.
Boobs. Anyway, good session, guys.
GG.
Yes,
Yay!
indeed.
We'll
Ready
find
for
out the
next
title.
week.
The title will be here soon when we're actually in our play space. We just wanted to set that up.
Sweet. And hopefully I'll have a character
Times.
voice. I'm gonna be brave.
Good. Good.
I'm gonna
Forward to
try.
it.
When we actually get into character, talks, I'd like to get
Yeah.
to the situation and start kind of in media res, but we'll have to do some narrative like how the team gets chosen to be the team, which will be due to, not unfortunately, there's a seesaw on that, but Spigot will be kind of at the head of the charge since we've set him in charge of dealing with his own situation, quote unquote, even though it
Indeed.
isn't just his. But we'll talk about that. Good session, everyone, and we'll
Yeah.
come back. I don't know what our intros would be like, but I'm going to develop something kind of interesting, I think, that's not going to be so intro question heavy, but more, I might write a thing to have someone read before we begin, a sort of last time on, but in the form of a like news report or a sort of in-world like recap that I might develop. I'm gonna try to consider that, but I have a week
Nice.
to do that. So
Alrighty.
good session, guys.